Jordan was the best
But
player in the
that go
world
to
for
show
over
right
a
there.
decade, something that
I
can
don't
be
wanna
said
hear no
only
more
of
debate.
three other players, Wilt, Kareem, and
I don't wanna hear none of that
LeBron. But while
goofy-ass
Kareem's
go-to.
individual and team accomplishments are...
Michael Jordan, the best player in the world.
Michael Jordan scored 50 points or more in the playoffs 8 times, more than Kobe, KD, LeBron,
As I'm
and
saying.
Wilt
As I'm
combined.
saying.
Jordan also had the most 40-point playoff games, more than Kareem, AI, Steph, and D-Wade put together.
Shout out to
In
Steph
fact,
Curry, though,
MJ is
dude.
the only player
Shout
in
out Steph
NBA
Curry.
history who had more 40-point career games than games where he scored less than 20 points. Jordan's godlike aura, brutal trash talk, and physical dominance put fear in opponents'
Michael
hearts.
Jordan was
And
that
while they
dude,
had to
bro.
get a good night's sleep before facing the Bulls,
Who
Jordan could
else gonna tell me
drink
Michael
and
Jordan
smoke
wasn't
cigars
that
before
dude?
the game and still drop 40. His airness made it look easy,
I'm saying.
and he proved it when the games were on the line.
Game on the line. Who would take the last shot? Me.
28
That's a dumb
times
question.
Jordan scored the game-winning shot, including
My-
7
That's
game
a
winners
dumb
in the
question.
playoffs. And MJ wasn't just a scorer. He had the most
MJ was a
first-team
buggy.
All-Defense
Yeah.
selections ever with 9. He's the all-time
Straight like I'm
blocks
a
leader
OG.
by a guard and has the most seasons with over 200 steals with 6. In 1989, when the Bulls lost their starting point guard, Coach Doug Collins made Jordan play the point, and he notched 10 triple-doubles in 11 games, averaging 30
y'all coulda
points,
put
11
Michael Jordan at
assists,
center.
and 9.5 rebounds per
Still
game.
would've got
Between
buckets.
1991 and 1996, MJ played 13 consecutive playoff series where he averaged more than 30 points per game, retiring with 6 rings, 5 MVPs, and a 6-0 record in the final. But despite his seemingly invincible legacy, Jordan did have some weaknesses. MJ led the NBA in field goal attempts 9 times during his 13 years in Chicago, and he was a bit of a ball hog, especially in his
Okay,
early
and-
career.
and they was
Jordan
winning.
also had some bad playoff games,
Sometimes-
and he
Sometimes nigga got a ball hug for a nigga to win the game. What is wrong with that?
certainly wasn't the most pleasant teammate.
If you ever been in AAU, nigga, you understand. Niggas be ass. I gotta ball hog the ball so we win. Niggas be trash. What are you talking about, nigga? I'm ball hogging. Nigga, you not getting this bitch, nigga. You better catch this bitch off the backboard, nigga. And when you catch that bitch, pass me that bitch. Nigga.
So, how good was Michael Jordan actually? And is he really the GOAT?
Yeah.
To answer that, we'll start with his genetics and God-given talent. Michael Jordan was supposed to be short. Nobody in his family was taller than 5'9", and as a
Damn.
high school sophomore, Michael was famously cut from his varsity basketball team because he was only
Well, I heard that
5'11".
1,000
It sounds
times.
sad, but it's true.
However, the Jordans were blessed with supreme athleticism.
shit.
Just look at Michael's older brother Larry, who
shit.
could dunk at 5'8". So, when an unexpected growth spurt pushed Michael to 6'6", he became unstoppable. By the end of his high school career, Jordan was averaging 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists.
Yeah, Michael
But
Jordan.
despite his unreal speed and athleticism, young MJ was still an unpolished gem because he really only played 2 years of high school basketball. As a
Yeah,
freshman at
still
UNC,
getting y'all niggas
MJ
hell.
averaged a modest 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. He was the third leading scorer on the team behind James Worthy and Sam Perkins, and his fundamentals, ball handling, and confidence weren't yet at a super high level. But all that changed in the 1982 NCAA Finals, when Michael hit a game-winning shot against Patrick Ewing, winning
yeah.
the national championship.
That bitch changed that nigga whole career.
North Carolina
Yeah,
has
that
won
bitch put his ass on the map. I ain't gonna lie.
the NCAA championship.
Jordan
I done
said
watched-
this was
I
the
done
biggest
watched every
turning point of his
documentary
career
on this shit. I
because
ain't gonna
after
lie.
that, his confidence was through the roof.
I got a
That
big
turned my
ass
name
poster
from
right here.
to Michael Jordan. It gave me
The
the
Last Dance.
confidence
Wait, I done watched
that I
that bitch
needed
too many
to
times.
start to excel at the game of basketball.
In the next 2 seasons, Jordan continued his basketball education under Dean Smith and became a complete player. He averaged 20 points per game, was a consensus first-team
Hey, that's smooth in
All-American,
college,
and as
though,
a
I ain't
junior
gonna lie.
in 1984, he
20
was named
points.
Collegiate Player of the Year. But based on his college career alone, it was hard to predict that Jordan would reach the pinnacle of the NBA.
What you talking
After all,
about,
many great players who came before Michael had far better college careers,
And where they at
including
now?
Kareem, Magic, Bird, Bill Walton, Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, David Thompson, Pete Maravich, and a few others.
All the niggas cool, but they not Michael Jordan.
Because of his relatively modest numbers in college, and because the 80s were the era of the big men, Jordan was selected third in the 1984 NBA draft, behind centers Hakeem Olajuwon and Sam Bowie.
He's only 6'6", so how much can he really do?
We wish you were 7'1".
I'm 6'4", and I give every one of y'all niggas a bucket.
However, it took just 2 practices for the Bulls coach to call the general manager and say, "You didn't mess up the draft this time."
For the first day in practice, my mentality was whoever is the team leader on that team, I'm going after him.
Nigga.
And I'm not going to do it with my voice.
Nigga, nigga, you gotta go in that bitch with prison mentality, nigga. It's either eat or get ate in that bitch, nigga, on the hood.
Because I had no voice.
Go in that bitch.
I had to do it with the way that I play.
When the season started,
the
it took
foul
Jordan
niggas in
only
that bitch,
3
nigga.
games to score over
Nigga
30
foul
and
me on my
9
head,
games to
nigga.
eclipse 40.
Yeah.
By the end of the first month, it was obvious that Jordan was supposed to be the first
nigga.
overall pick. While
Turn me up,
Olajuwon
nigga.
looked like a
Fuck around,
star,
try to dunk on
Jordan
the
was
nigga
more
after
like a
that shit, nigga.
supernova because there
Giannis
was nobody in the
Antetokounmpo.
league faster than him. It seemed almost unfair how he blew past opponents with just a single step who had no answer for his drives to the basket. On top of his speed,
wait.
Jordan was also the most athletic player in the
ball
NBA
was
with
flying
an
out there,
unmatched
bitch.
vertical
Look
jump
like
and hang
floating.
time. When he drove to the cup, it looked like he was a fighter jet, and his quickness served as a runway for
Air
his vertical
Jordan,
takeoff.
nigga.
When MJ raised up for a jump shot, it seemed like nobody was ever guarding him because the laws of gravity didn't seem to apply to
Niggas
Michael.
didn't jump that
Defenders
high
could
yet.
jump
They
at the
ain't
same
unlocked their
time,
full
but as
attribute
they would
shit.
inevitably fall down, Jordan would
Like, everybody ain't really unlocked their full attributes yet, you feel me? I ain't gonna lie, that's why I be saying when niggas be saying about, like, back in the day and shit, niggas ain't unlocked their full, you feel me, black abilities and shit. Michael Jordan was, like, one of the first niggas to unlock his black abilities in the NBA.
continue to float in the air and shoot completely
Then
unbothered.
it helped
How's the
everybody else, like,
transition been
boost
from
their
college
abilities
to the
and shit, you
NBA?
know?
Well, I think it's been pretty easy.
Thanks to his high-flying feats and insane dunks, Jordan quickly became the most popular player in the NBA. So it only made sense that in 1986, he got voted to the All-Star game, despite playing just 3 games up to that point due to an ankle injury. And that same year, in the playoffs, he set a playoff scoring record with 63 points against Boston.
But it was an incredible playoff
63
performance. I've
points,
never
really?
seen it before, and I had never seen it after. That
I
was
ain't gonna lie, I
Michael
give a
Jordan.
nigga
That was
63
God
points on my
disguised as
list,
Michael Jordan.
As if MJ wasn't doing enough already, in 1987, MJ led the NBA in scoring with 37 points per game, which was and remains the 5th best scoring output ever, behind only Wilt's insane scoring feats of the early 1960s.
I just want the franchise and Chicago Bulls to be respected as a team. It's very hard for something like that to happen, but it's not impossible.
Meanwhile, Jordan was miserable. Despite all the fame and
His ass
individual
ain't won none
accolades,
yet.
he was always losing. In his first 3 seasons,
yeah.
MJ only won 1 playoff game, despite being the best player in the league.
Boy, had to go win
But
something.
after the Bulls GM Jerry Krause drafted Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen, his life would change forever. In 1988, MJ averaged 35 points on 54% shooting, with 6 rebounds and 6 assists,
Y'all
winning his
know
first
that about
career
that,
MVP.
man.
Because he also led the NBA in steals with 3.2 plus 1.6
Y'all know
blocks per
nothing about
game,
that Scottie
Jordan
Pippen,
won the
for real,
Defensive
for real.
Player of the Year.
Y'all know
And
about that
he is still
basketball
one of
Scottie
only
Pippen, but
5
y'all know
players
about that
ever to
Scottie
win
Pippen,
Defensive
for real,
Player
for
of the
real.
Year and MVP. And
Hell,
after the
bro.
1988 dunk contest against Dominique Wilkins, which is considered by many to be the best of all time, some people already started calling him the best player they have ever seen.
Hell yeah, man. I knew that shit. I was a little kid.
With YouTube Music Premium, listen to your favorite songs ad-free.
Bro.
But none of that
I gotta
mattered
get no
because
ads
the
on my
most
shit,
important
bro.
thing
This
to
shit
Jordan
atrocious.
was winning.
Atrocious.
And now with Pippen
Big
and
one.
Grant on the team, the Bulls had their first 50-win season since 1974. Chicago then finally advanced in the playoffs, winning the first round over the Cavaliers,
like that
with
acting in
MJ
the first
averaging
second.
an insane 45 points per game. However, in the second round, a more experienced Pistons team defeated the Bulls pretty easily,
Dennis
4
Rodman
games to
showed.
1. It was proof that
Bro, this
individual
real like a
greatness
summary of
doesn't
the
translate to
motherfucking
playoff
last
wins,
games.
a lesson Jordan had yet to learn. But that didn't make him any less entertaining to watch. In the 1989 season, Jordan hit his first legendary shot in the NBA, simply known as the shot.
A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! They win it! Set the Cleveland Cavaliers!
Well, I
In the
would've
second
been
round, the
turning
Bulls
watching
got
Michael
past the
Jordan on
Knicks,
TV,
but
bro.
they again fell victim to the Pistons, who bullied Jordan with their physicality. And in 1990, it was more of the same.
Bro, like, niggas really don't even talk about the shoes this nigga was playing in, bro. I'm not going out there and hooping in some fours, bro.
MJ led the NBA
Tripping.
in scoring and steals. He was super efficient, but the team couldn't get over the hump and get past the Detroit Pistons for a 3rd consecutive year.
Unless he
In
had
his
them bitches,
first
like,
6
custom
years in the
made.
league, MJ had won 5 playoff series and lost 6, with an overall playoff record of 25 wins and 29 losses. So after that third loss to the Pistons, the media started doubting Jordan, questioning his ability to play team basketball, and wondering if he was only concerned about himself and his numbers. And in a way, they were right. In the 80s, he was often trying to score out of double or even triple teams, ignoring his wide-open teammates. In 1989, he was a capable passer, averaging a career-high 8 dimes per game, but Jordan always looked to score first and pass second. And he wasn't like Magic, Jokic, or Doncic, who manipulate defenses with their eyes and fake defenders into wrong coverages. Jordan's passing was more reactive. He got rid of the ball only when he saw that somebody was wide open. And since Jordan was like a black hole that sucked all the defensive attention, when he did opt to pass, it was usually for an easy dunk. But despite MJ's ridiculous scoring numbers, the Bulls' offense was always average during the 80s, and they were actually at their best in 1986, when Mike missed 80% of the season due to an ankle injury. It wasn't until 1990, the arrival of Phil Jackson and the emergence of Scottie Pippen, that the Bulls' offense cracked the top 5 in the NBA. Pippen's passing and pushing the ball in the open court created lots of space for Jordan, who could finally trust someone else to make plays for him consistently. But Pippen's value was maybe even more pronounced on the defensive end. With an enormous wingspan, agility, and a motor to cover multiple players on one possession, Scottie was just what Michael was missing. Pip's presence allowed Michael to play free safety on defense, jump into passing lanes for steals, and he didn't need to waste his energy guarding the best opposing player, because Scottie usually did that. And after agonizing defeats against the Pistons, MJ decided to bulk up, which was unprecedented at the time. Players didn't spend much time in the gym, and if you look at all the players in the 80s, they looked lean, but hardly anyone was super muscular. So when MJ returned for the 1991 season, he was still super quick, athletic, and could contort his body in the air like no one else. But this time around, he was also much stronger, which allowed him to absorb contact better and bully smaller players with his size. What also helped Michael was the arrival of coaches Phil Jackson and Tex Winter, who instituted the triangle offense, which was based on cutting in open spaces and playmaking out of the post. If executed properly, the triangle was believed to be the most optimal offense to optimize spacing. MJ didn't have to bring up the ball all the time and force his shots, and he was receiving the ball closer to the basket, where he'd bully smaller defenders and dominate like never before. Even though Jordan was phenomenal from the moment he stepped into the NBA, in 1991, he was at his best, and he won his second MVP award. The 91 Bulls had the best offense in the NBA, and they crushed the opposition in the Eastern Conference. They swept the Knicks, beat the 76ers in 5, and then finally got their revenge against the Pistons. This time, it wasn't even close, as Detroit was on the decline after 3 straight NBA Finals trips, while the Bulls were ascending. MJ swept Isaiah and the Pistons, who famously left before the final buzzer of Game 4, refusing to shake the Bulls' hands.
We finally got over the hump of the loser's mentality. We were starting to become a winning franchise. And, you know, the sky was the limit.
But in the NBA Finals, another legend awaited, Magic Johnson. And it seemed like the 5-time NBA champion still had the upper hand when the Lakers defeated the Bulls at home in Game 1. That is, until Phil Jackson made the adjustment to have Pippen guard Magic, which turned the series around. And in Game 2, Jordan dazzled the world with another iconic move, switching hands mid-air to score an acrobatic layup. The Bulls won the next 4 games, and at last, the championship. Jordan's hunger for an NBA ring was finally satisfied. Throughout the playoffs, MJ averaged 31 points, 8.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks, shooting a career-high 56% from the field.
Jordan is the most talented player in the NBA.
Of course.
By far.
And the 1992 season was a continuation of peak form for Jordan and the Bulls. Another scoring title with super efficient shooting, first-team all-defense, and another MVP for his airness. The Bulls once again had the best offense in the NBA.
Nigga just caught that
another
bitch
MVP for his
bro,
airness.
Michael Jordan could have played football, bro. I just was literally seeing some
first
shit
team
earlier
all defense and another MVP for his airness. The Bulls.
Bro, look how Michael Jordan just caught this ball, bro. Y'all telling me that Michael Jordan couldn't play football, bro? Nigga, this is Odell. Odell Beckham. Nigga, this is that bitch right there.
Bulls once again had the best offense in the NBA and won a franchise record 67 games. Chicago reached the finals against the Trailblazers, and the media pushed the narrative that Clyde Drexler was better than Jordan because Jordan is not a good outside shooter. So MJ responded by nailing 6 threes and 35 points in the first half of Game 1, which was a finals record for both threes and points and a half, in what will forever be remembered as the Shrug game. And even though Portland tied the series at 2 apiece, the Bulls were just too good. And they won the series in 6, with MJ averaging 36 points in the finals. After the second finals and the Dream Team experience in Barcelona, Pippen and Jordan came into the '93 season with an empty tank. The Bulls weren't as dominant in the regular season. But even though he was tired, MJ still led the NBA in scoring, which was his 7th scoring title in a row. And he also led the league in steals. Chicago made it to a 3rd consecutive finals, where they faced league MVP Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns, the best team in the regular season. Barkley was also the best player on the Dream Team, and when he won the MVP, many people believed that he could be an even better player than Michael, which pissed off Jordan. But because of the Suns' inexperience and Barkley's nasty elbow injury, the Bulls won the first 2 games on the road, and it seemed like it would be smooth sailing to the next title. However, the Suns weren't going away that easily. They won games 3 and 5 in Chicago, and they could have won game 4 too if it wasn't for Jordan.
That motherfucker would not let me win that game.
Who buried the Suns with 55 points, the second highest scoring game in NBA Finals history.
And
Every
Michael
one of you, when
just
y'all see me
outplayed
play any game, y'all
That
see
was
me play.
probably
No, I'm
the
not
first
letting the nigga
time
win.
in my life that I felt
So
like
if
there
I
was a
lose,
better
bro, I
basketball
lost.
player in the world than me, to be honest with you.
After 5 games, it was 3-2 for the
If I lose
Bulls,
that
but
bitch,
the
nigga,
remaining
I
2
lost.
games were to be
I ain't
played in
letting that nigga
Arizona.
win, though.
In Game 6, the Suns had the lead throughout the 4th quarter, but Jordan kept the Bulls in the game, and everybody expected Jordan to take the final shot to tie the game. But MJ wasn't the same stubborn player as before, and he gave up the ball early to set up an open shot for John Paxson. That was it, a three-peat, and MJ's legacy was set. Jordan finished the '93 finals with averages of 41, 8, and 6 on 51% shooting and 40% from 3. And this wasn't even his best playoff series statistically. MJ was on the top of his game, and his basketball IQ, winning mentality, and physical dominance all synced in perfect harmony. Jordan showed his otherworldly ability to beat an opponent one-on-one, separate double teams, attack the rim, but also to find open teammates. If we compare the 1993 Jordan to his early NBA years...
Hey, they need, bro, if I was in the NBA, bro, they gotta let a nigga hoop with his chain on, bro. Like, why they don't let niggas hoop with their chains on and shit no more? Like, you feel me? Let niggas go out there big and saucy.
When it was needed, he was pressing full.
I know niggas gonna fuck around. Drag niggas gonna come out that bitch with a long ass chain with a big ass pendant on this bitch.
Court defensively.
Like
when nobody could score, he recognized it and carried the Bulls. And when he got doubled, he gave up the ball without trying to be a hero. In terms of basketball skills, Jordan was physically a much stronger player who became a master of footwork and post-up game. When he reached the desired position with his back to the basket, he'd turn and stay in the air for what felt like an hour longer than his opponent, only to hit a patented turnaround jumper clean as a whistle. The memories of anyone doubting him were long forgotten. Everybody knew he was the best player alive, and many believed after that three-peat, he was already the best of all time. My love for this game is strong. I'm going to be here as long as my love is strong, Jordan told reporters after the finals in a champagne-soaked locker room. However, just 1 month later, his father was killed, and Jordan retired from basketball for a year and a half. The love for basketball was put on hold.
I had him for 32 years, and he taught me a lot in 32 years. You know how many kids get that opportunity? Very few. In today's society, get the chance to spend that much time with their parents and get that type of influence.
18 months and a stint in minor league baseball later, and the itch for the game became too strong. So Jordan released arguably the most famous 2-word press release of all time.
It came in a 2-word statement, which is now just begging to have a Nike campaign built around it. Quote unquote, I'm back.
And it didn't take Jordan too much time to show that he was still the god of basketball. In just the 5th game after his return, he poured in 55 points against the Knicks in the infamous double nickel game. But overall, MJ struggled with his shot, shooting a career low 41% from the field.
Bro, that don't
And it
matter,
turned out
bro.
that
You
playing
throwing
baseball
in
for a
things that
year and a
don't
half
matter.
took a bite out of his greatness. Even the best players need to practice.
bro.
And in the second round of the playoffs
Bro,
against
niggas ain't gotta
Orlando,
practice.
things
You talking
didn't
about
go
practice.
according to plan. Even
Niggas
though
ain't gotta
Michael
practice,
averaged
though.
31 points on 48% shooting, the Bulls weren't as strong inside. Horace Grant, who used to be their starting power forward, was now playing for Orlando. And together with a young Shaq, the Magic simply
Shaq was bad, I ain't
outmuscled the
gonna lie.
Bulls in the paint. Many people will say
I
the
would've
Bulls
not
lost in
guarded Shaq.
'95 because Jordan wasn't in peak form after his
This
baseball
why I need
hiatus.
to guard.
And there is some truth
I'm
to
not
that.
guarding Shaq.
But Jordan actually
I got
averaged
that
his
shit.
usual numbers.
I'ma leave
Really,
that nigga
basketball
open.
is just a
Straight-
team sport.
straight like
And they
that.
lost because Orlando was much bigger and deeper than them. Thankfully, the Bulls management knew that too.
Last week, the Bulls announced the acquisition of a player many people consider the most controversial basketball star in the NBA.
They added Dennis Rodman to the team, the best rebounder of all
Bro,
time,
like 3
and one
o'clock
of the
in the morning,
fiercest
bro.
defensive players ever.
I don't care. Whatever. What's up?
A year before, they also added Steve Kerr,
was
the
dead,
most accurate
325.
three-point shooter ever. And together with a defensive dog, Ron Harper, and Tony Kukoc, who was the most versatile power forward in the NBA, MJ had the best supporting cast in the league. In the 1996 season, the Bulls were so good that they became only the second team in NBA history to lead the NBA in offensive and defensive rating. And their plus 13.4 net rating is still the best ever. Their 72-10 record was the best of all time, and of course, Jordan won an MVP,
Of course.
averaging 36-4.
Michael
As for the
Jordan, that
playoffs,
dude.
there was no
Go, go.
stopping the
Number one,
Bulls.
nigga.
Only the Sonics in the finals showed any kind of resistance, and Gary Payton was the first defender to have slowed down Michael, but he couldn't beat him,
love.
and Chicago won their fourth title, with Michael crying his guts out in the locker room because it was the first championship he won without his father.
This is for Daddy. I'm very happy for you.
He's a voice of reason that always drove and challenged me. That's the type of father I had.
Like a friend.
Yeah, like a friend.
And when the 1997 season started, the Bulls continued to rule the NBA. With 4 Hall of Famers, the most accurate three-point shooter
I
of all
don't know, they
time,
got Dennis
and
Rodman,
other
they was
excellent
damn
role
near
players,
unstoppable at
no
that
team
point.
could match up with Chicago. Running
They
the
had a
triangle
super
like a
team.
well-oiled machine, the Bulls
Niggas had the
dominated the
first
regular
super team.
season with
Niggas-
69
niggas
wins,
paved the way
and
for
getting
the
to the
Warriors.
finals seemed like a walk in the park, as they only lost 2 games in 3 playoff series. But in the finals, it
Then the
wasn't
Warriors
that
beat
easy,
that shit
because
that
they
we
played
lost
the
on some
formidable
fluky
duo
shit,
of
but we
Stockton
ain't
and
even
Malone
getting
and the
that.
Utah
That
Jazz.
shit goofy
This series
dead.
would be remembered by the
Oh,
infamous flu game, where Jordan suffered from food poisoning and had a fever before the pivotal Game
game.
5 when the series was tied. But Jordan played through the illness and managed to squeeze every atom of strength to score 38 points, and the Bulls won, 90-88. In Game 6, Jordan trusted Steve Kerr with the final shot, and Kerr hit a jumper for the win in the final seconds.
I ain't gonna lie, this nigga Steve Kerr didn't really have like an amazing life, bro, and some shit. Like, I ain't gonna lie. As far as basketball wise.
However, when the 1998 season started, the Bulls were running on fumes. Pippen had injury problems and disputes with management, and Rodman was more reckless than
That
ever.
boy ain't wanna
But
play.
they still
His ass
had
wasn't getting
Michael.
paid enough.
Even
His
though
ass
he
wanna
wasn't
play.
as athletic as before and his efficiency decreased, Jordan was still capable of winning games
Boy,
by himself.
he had
The
to know
Bulls
how to
finished
win,
with
man.
62 wins
Once you know
despite
how to
Pippen
win,
missing
it's
half
over
the
with.
season.
That
And
boy
that's
had
why
was
Jordan was named
13.
NBA MVP for the 5th time. In the playoffs, the Bulls survived the Indiana
Reggie Miller.
Pacers in the Eastern Finals, winning Game
See?
7 by 5
Every time Indiana gets somewhere, we gotta play some super niggas. Every
points.
time.
And then, in the finals, Utah awaited again, hungrier than ever. In a tough defensive series where neither team scored 100 points, Jordan proved his clutch factor once
But
again,
wait,
hitting
they ain't
arguably
none of
the
that.
most famous shot in NBA history over Byron
Come here,
Russell.
boy. Straight got that on the poster right here.
Chicago with the lead.
Straight got that bill.
6 championships in 8 years, with 6 awards for the Finals MVP, and Jordan
That boy was
achieved
going crazy,
basketball
shorty.
immortality.
And if this is the final chapter,
Y'all
what a
can't
way
tell
to
me who's
close the
better
book.
than Michael Jordan, bro.
After
If Michael
1998,
not
Jordan
in your top
retired
3
for the
all-time
second
players,
time,
you tripping.
which was the end of his prime, and we can sum up his career with the Bulls in 3 parts. The first part being between 1984 and 1990, when he was easily the most athletic player in the NBA, a scoring machine beating players with speed and leaving defenders stuck in the mud. But basketball is a team sport, and Jordan didn't have enough quality teammates around him, and those who he did have, he didn't trust. The second part was the first three-peat, when he slowed down a bit and wasn't going 100 miles per hour on every possession. MJ was then physically stronger, he became a master of all facets of the game, improved his shot, and started trusting his teammates. And then came the second three-peat, where the Bulls had the deepest and most versatile team in the NBA. The Bulls with Pippen, rookie Kukoc, and Kerr won 55 games in the 1994 season, and they played without Jordan, Rodman, and Harper, who was maybe the most underrated teammate MJ ever had. When they all got together in 1996, it was game over for the league. But having good teammates is essential to winning in the NBA, especially when you're past your physical prime. Jordan lost a chunk of his quickness during the second three-peat, but that's like when a Ferrari loses 100 horsepower. It's still faster than almost anything else on the road. And that answers the question, how good was Michael Jordan actually? Even when he wasn't at his best, Jordan was still the best player in the league. If you divide his career into three parts, each part would suffice for a Hall of Fame career. In his first 6 seasons, Jordan didn't win a ring, but he was the most electrifying athlete the NBA had ever seen, with unreal stats and winning all possible accolades. The first three-peat was Jordan at his best, showcasing a level of basketball that's rare and few, if any, have touched. And with his second three-peat, the Bulls won 72, 69, and 62 games in the regular season.
Hey, you know about 96 Michael Jordan. If you play 2K, you know about 96 Michael Jordan.
And capped it off with 3 championship rings, losing just 13 games in 12 playoff series from 1996 to 1998. The only season of his career where Jordan wasn't the best player in the league was probably just his rookie season. Jordan was the best player in the world for over a decade, something that can be said only of 3 other players, Wilt, Kareem, and LeBron. But while Kareem's individual and team accomplishments are similar to MJ's, Jabbar wasn't the best player on his team for 3 of his 6 championships. And he only has 2 finals MVPs compared to Jordan's 6. Wilt's scoring numbers from the 60s were impossible to reach even for Jordan, but he only won 2 titles and was constantly losing to Bill Russell. And finally, there's LeBron, who might be the most complete basketball.
Bro, look, that's what I want to say. Like, I fuck with LeBron James. Don't get it twisted. Like, I fuck with LeBron, you feel me? It's just like, the only reason I really don't fuck with LeBron is because of what he did to the Pacers back-to-back Game 7.
Ball player ever. And due to his longevity, he is the statistical GOAT. But LeBron only has 4 titles and has lost 6 times in the finals, including
Hey, bro, to really
the
answer my
2011
question,
dud against the Mavs, where he played a catastrophic series that cost Miami the championship. And that's something that never happened to Jordan.
Yes,
and
sir.
because of his decade of dominance, a 6-0 record in the finals, with 6 finals MVPs, and the biggest impact on NBA popularity worldwide, it's hard to say that Jordan wasn't the greatest player to ever touch a basketball.
Thank you.
Speaking of Jordan, we've got another.
Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. And to all, good night. Fuck, nigga.